Lindy Somek, who is from the Saginaw Ojibwe Nation, and she's going to deliver our land acknowledgement today. Lindy.
Bonjour, Lindy Somek, Nindichinikas, Amik Saginaw Chippewa Dojaba, Anishinaabe Kwe and Dow. Good morning, DNC members, friends, and relatives. Let's talk about the land for a second. The DNC acknowledges and honors the Dakota Oyate, the Dakota people, who are the original stewards of the lands and waters of Minneapolis. The Dakota cared for the lands, lakes, and the Wakatonka, the Great River, the Mississippi River, for thousands of years before colonization. This land was not claimed or traded. It's a part of a history of broken treaties and promises. And in many ways, we still live in a system built to suppress Indigenous peoples' cultural and spiritual history.
Welcome back, America. Byron York is my guest on the Hugh Hewitt Show. Byron, what do you think of the land acknowledgement at yesterday's Democratic National Committee meeting?
Do you start each show with a land acknowledgement?
I don't. I begin segments with you, and I think I'll now make it a tradition because I've goofed on it a lot, but it actually says a lot about the Democrats. What do you think it says about the Democrats at their first meeting with the new committee chairman, Ken Martin, in his home state of Minnesota, launches with a land acknowledgement?
Well, it means it's just like the last meeting, and which means there's no change, which means the new chairman is not going to make things better. I believe the party convention in Chicago started with a land acknowledgement. I think it's just part of the course at Democratic gatherings, and not starting it probably would send a signal that maybe they're going to do things differently, but that's just not the case. If you're looking at what's going on in Minneapolis, it's not the case.
Okay, let's dig in for a second as to what the land acknowledgement says about what Democrats believe. Someone made a conscious decision to do it, not what the speaker said. I have no doubt she is a Lakota, a descendant of the Sioux, and she has a good grasp of the language and a great love for her ancestors. But what does it say that the Democrats feel obliged to say that? I mean, what's the message they are sending?
Well, I think, the message, I guess, is that we are on stolen land. We don't deserve to be here. And I don't know what else it says.
We are a bad people. It says the West is a bad thing, that we are colonizers and that we deserve nothing, and our system of free markets and frontier farm and factory did not build anything. It's really a repudiation of essential American self-identity. I mean, I've been thinking about this since I first heard it yesterday. I got asked about it on Fox and Friends this morning. It's really aggravating to me that they would begin that way.
Well, it's part of the way the Democratic Party works. Now, you have to remember, think of that Wall Street Journal poll a few weeks ago, found that voters' approval of the Democratic Party lowest in 35 years. New York Times report this month said that of the 30 states that track voter registration by political party, Democrats have lost ground to Republicans in every single one of those states in the last 4 years. You've seen Democrats getting an incredible knack for getting on the wrong side of issues like the border and about crime. They are deeply divided over Israel and Gaza. They have about $15 million cash on hand compared to $80 million by the RNC. Whatever they are doing is not working right now.
And they are paying off Kamala Harris's debt. That story surfaced today.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
I really think that at the bottom, whoever is running the Democratic Party has an antipathy for Americanism. And Donald Trump is going to beat this out of them. Let me play for you a clip of the president at the cabinet meeting today, cut number 2.
We're putting America first, and we're going to be putting the America worker first. And, you know, the Republican Party has picked up 4 million new people, 4 million. The Democrats have lost 2.5 million. Other than that, they're extremely happy. No, they're very depressed.
So two things, Byron. One, it helps to have a sense of humor. Marco Rubio used it as well. Let me play you cut 24 very quickly in case you haven't heard it or someone just got in their car. Cut 24.
Mr. President, first of all, everyone's made this comment already and needs to be echoed again. You were elected as the president of working Americans, and that's why this Labor Day is so meaningful. For me personally, this is the most meaningful Labor Day of my life as someone with 4 jobs. And so... It's true.
And the president said, that was good. That was good. So, Byron, it helps to be funny, but it also helps to be pro-America.
Well, yes, it does. Look, Trump is so clearly a pro-American, and, you don't have to just stay on the land acknowledgement to see how often the Democratic Party has, suggested that America is a bad country. They've stressed the flaws and inequalities of American life, and just kind of ignored the marvelous light of liberty the United States is in the whole world and all this stuff. And what they're telling themselves in Minneapolis is that with all these problems I just described about low voter approval, voters moving to the Republican Party, not having any money, all that sort of stuff, what they're telling themselves in Minneapolis is that the greatest single problem facing the party is that they are too nice to President Trump, and they've got to get tough. That's what the party is saying. So it's like, if we just sue him one more time, maybe that will do it. If we just call him a Nazi one more time, maybe that will do it.
It'll be the tipping point.
That's what they're telling themselves.
Byron, can you stay for another segment? We got a 3-minute break here. I don't know if you've got the time, but I would love to ask you to put on your Democratic consultant hat and think hard and come back with what the Democrats should be saying right now. And I have an idea, but I want to hear what you, the dean of sort of serious political reporters in D.C., has to say about this. If you just tuned in, Byron York is my guest of the Washington Examiner, Fox News contributor extraordinaire, and I gave him a job during the break, which was to put on his Democratic consultant hat and come back with the message he would recommend they adopt. What is it, Byron?
Well, I think the Democratic Party has to do an updated version of what it did after its third loss in a row the loss was in 1988 and running in 1992, which is to say that the party needs to get back on track. We shouldn't be supporting illegal immigration. We shouldn't be supporting criminals. We shouldn't be supporting chemical castration and mutilation of minors. We shouldn't be supporting this stuff. As far as taxing the rich, following a democratic economic program, I think they can stick with that. The party is divided. The country is divided about it. I think those are classic democratic platforms that they should keep. But they realized, but they've got to say, like some Democrats, like Bill Clinton did, in the late 1980s and early 1990s, that the party has lost its way in some ways and needs to get back on track.
Well, you and I are sharing the same hymnal. I might also add, let me tell you what I liked about the One Big Beautiful Bill. No taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime. I'm for working people. Let me tell you what I didn't like. It did not raise the marginal rate on people making $100 million a year. Something like that. And then they need, and you articulated it, a machine gun Sister Souljah moment. They do have to machine gun the craziest parts of their party with, no, we're not doing any more land acknowledgements. I think I would start with that. We're just not doing that. And we're going to have great empathy for people experiencing gender dysphoria, but we are not going to allow minors, even with the consent of their parents, to make life-altering decisions until they're 19. Byron, what are the chances of them doing this?
I think it's around zero. You have to remember, when the Democratic Party made this change with the DLC and Bill Clinton in 1992, they had lost to Reagan in 80, they lost to Reagan in 84, and they lost to Bush in 88. And there were Democrats and political analysts at the time who were saying, well, maybe the Republican Party is the presidential party, and the Democratic Party will be kind of the congressional party. In other words, like, we're never going to win again. So they have to realize that to change, they have to actually seriously change. And that's what they did in 92. And believe me, at the time, there were Democrats who resisted that, who said, we just have a communications problem. It's a messaging problem,
And they are back, and they're in charge in Minneapolis. Byron York. Follow him on X at Byron York. Watch him whenever he's on Fox. Read him in the Washington Examiner. Sign up for his newsletter. And come right back. I'm going to talk serious stuff with Admiral Mark Montgomery.